If you're watching this, there's a good chance you are exhausted in a way that a vacation didn't fix, and that long weekend away didn't even touch. You're achieving, you're delivering. By every external measure, things are working, and yet something is wrong. I want to tell you something that almost nobody in the leadership or wellness space says out loud. The problem is not your calendar. It's not your boundaries. It's not your morning routine, your sleep hygiene, or the fact that you're not meditating enough. The problem is that you've built your entire identity around performance, and performance has stopped working. That's a different problem, and it requires a completely different solution. My name is Paul, and I'm a leadership coach and I'm a pastor. And for many years, I sat across from some of the most driven, accomplished people you would ever meet. Executives, founders, surgeons, lawyers, special operators, people who had built and done remarkable things. And I kept watching the same thing happen. They'd reach a certain level of success, sometimes the top, and then things would fall apart. Not publicly. Publicly, everything looked fine, but privately, they were struggling. Not because they hadn't worked hard enough, not because they hadn't achieved enough, but because somewhere along the way, they had made a decision to let performance become their identity. And once you do that, you become a hostage to it. Every metric becomes a verdict on your value and worth. Every setback is an identity crisis. Every success only raises the standard you have to hit next time. That's not a workload problem. That's a meaning problem. And no productivity system on earth fixes a meaning problem. Let me be specific about what I think is actually happening to you. Burnout is not just tiredness. The researchers, Emily and Amelia Nagoski, have shown that burnout is what happens when you get stuck in a stress response you can never complete. Your body is wired to respond to threats, to discharge the energy of that response, and then return to equilibrium. But most high achieving leaders never let that cycle complete. You just move on to the next threat, the next deadline, the next deliverable. And that's still only half the picture, because here's what I've observed. Most executive burnout is not primarily a physiological problem. It is an identity problem. The leaders who burn out and never fully recover are the ones who build their sense of self entirely on what they can produce or control and deliver. And when those things get taken away by illness or failure, a role transition, a season of ambiguity, there's nothing left underneath. They don't know who they are when they aren't performing. And here's the cruel irony. The more successful you've been, the more dangerous this whole thing becomes, because success reinforces the performance identity. Every promotion, every win, every piece of recognition says this is working, until one day it stops working and you have no idea who you are without it. This is what I call identity level burnout. And it can't be solved by a new time management system. It has to be solved at the level of identity itself, which is what this channel and my work is all about. My coaching and my teaching is built around a philosophy I call uncontrolling leadership. And the idea is this. Most of the leadership models that dominate the business world are fundamentally about control of outcomes, control of people, control of the future. And the assumption is that the best leaders are the ones who can impose their will most effectively on the world and everything around them. And it works, at least for a while. But at some point, the world doesn't cooperate. The market shifts, the team changes, the strategy stops working, and the leader who has built their entire model on control finds themselves in a crisis because control has failed. And the leaders I work with are usually at that point or somewhere close. And what I want to offer instead is a philosophy rooted in something much older and much more durable. The idea that the most powerful kind of leadership is not coercive, but persuasive, not controlling, but relationally compelling, not forcing outcomes, but creating the conditions in which well-being can genuinely emerge. And this isn't soft leadership. It's not passive. The uncontrolling leader is one of the most intentional, present, and effective leaders in the room, precisely because they're not wasting energy trying to control what can't be controlled. They've done their inner work. They know who they are, and they lead from that place. And if anything I've said in this video has named something you've been struggling with or you've been living, I want to offer you two things. The first is free, and I put together a guide called the 5-Day Leadership Burnout Reset. And the link is in the description. Grab it, it's free. The second is for people who are further along and ready to go deeper. I do a small amount of private coaching, and I work with a maximum of 5 clients at a time. And if you're not there yet, just subscribe to the channel. We put out content every single week about the inner life of leadership and what burnout really is, what it looks like to lead from a foundation that doesn't crack. I'm really glad you're here. Let's do this together.